Hey everyone, today I wanted to go over some new and interesting news that we have directly from the producer of Monster Hunter, Ryoso Sugimoto, as he took to social media to provide players with something to look forward to in the exciting new year. They posted a video on the official Monster Hunter Information English channel, which doesn't necessarily usually break news, but this time around, perhaps they're doing a bit more than a tease than actually breaking news. Usually when it comes to Japanese developers, by the end of the year, they tend to provide some sort of thank you video, some sort of thank you letter or a thank you note for everyone who decided to play their games, and usually tend to ask players to look forward to the new year as more things are going to be coming specifically for that game, if that is the case. Of course, when it comes to the Monster Hunter franchise, there's plenty of things happening for 2023, and that is what you are going to be able to see in the quick little clip that Ryoso Sugimoto decided to share. Essentially, he mentions that in 2022 there were plenty of people playing base Monster Hunter Rise on the PC, which launched of course this year, but also Sunbreak, which launched of course on PC and the Nintendo Switch. They would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to everyone who decided to play either one of those versions of the game, and of course there's no real surprise, but he does specifically mention that looking ahead into 2023, they're planning to release several free title updates for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Interesting that they use the word several instead of just two, since as of right now we only know of two. Even the data mines only suggest two, but of course that can change heading into the future. This is one of the things that in one of the very original developer interviews we got for Sunbreak, they specifically mentioned that, based on sales, ultimately it would be one of those things where like they'll continue to support the game going forward. And this is something I want to kind of circle back towards the end of the video. He continues mentioning that not only that, base Monster Hunter Rise will be making its way into the Xbox Series X and S consoles, Xbox One, Windows, Game Pass, and of course PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 on January 20th. So make sure you look forward to that specific release as well. And once again, thanking players for the support in the Monster Hunter series. And hopefully you have a wonderful holiday season. Now, of course, this is pretty much like a standard type of post that we end up seeing from the developers and, like I mentioned before, Japanese games. But the interesting thing here is I think they're mentioning the use of the word several when it comes to updates in Sunbreak. And this is, like I said, one of the things that when it came to the developer interviews, they specifically mentioned that I believe Sunbreak wasn't even out yet when they were still doing like developer interviews, and they were providing details regarding that. And if I remember correctly, it might have been a Famitsu interview where they casually mentioned that based on sales of Sunbreak, they would make an ultimate decision on just how many updates that specific version of the game would end up receiving. And the fact is now that we know that it is of course going to eventually drop on PlayStation and Xbox, and of course presumably at the same time free title for update 4 and 5 are being released onto the Nintendo Switch and on PC, it would make sense that once all the PlayStation and Xbox side of things, all the updates, free title updates end up lining up, one major last update could go ahead and drop, lining up and syncing everything together for the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation, Xbox, and of course PC as well. So that would be something of a culmination update, kind of like the last big hurrah for the game, and of course drawing even more sales, since of course they're already launching base Monster Hunter Rise on PlayStation and Xbox for about $40. They're gonna want to sell people Sunbreak at some point or another, and providing new content is certainly one way to go about it. Of course, that content is already something that Nintendo Switch and PC game players are already going to be able to have access to, but PlayStation and Xbox players will be requiring a bit more, since the game technically would have been almost maybe a year old by now by the time that Sunbreak gets its final free title update on PlayStation and Xbox. We're of course forwarding to maybe somewhere around June, July. It really depends on what the timeline of those updates will be on PlayStation and Xbox, so we can have a better idea of that. Of course, we don't have details on that just yet, but presumably if it does launch in the spring, let's say somewhere around April or May, then those free title updates will continue to drop maybe every month or so, maybe 2 months or so. We don't necessarily know. If the PC side of things is anything to go by, we do know that on the PC side of things, it took about 3.5 months for it to catch up to the Nintendo Switch, like weekly event quests and all of that. So, maybe that is some sort of guide that we can use, and eventually all the free title updates line up with a final culmination update. But of course, that's just speculation on my part. They are teasing something here. We don't necessarily know what that is, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications whenever videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.